Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about Metasploit yet again. We seem to be doing a lot of videos on this particular framework, and for good reason. It's outstanding. And in particular, I'm going to talk about some of the new features that are now in the 3.2 stable release that just came out a couple days ago. I really recommend that you take a look at it. In particular, I want to call your attention to H.D. Moore's excellent post here about automating the Meterpreter. I'm going to zoom in on the URL so you guys can see it. Metasploit.com/dev/track/wiki automating Meterpreter. And there's a lot of really cool things in here that are related to post-exploitation. What can you actually pull out of the system after you've exploited that particular computer system? And that's cool. Don't get me wrong. You should definitely be looking into that. However, I want to call your attention to this wonderful little command that HD uses to generate the Meterpreter executable. If you look at it, it looks like just standard MSF payload going through and creating a reverse connection Meterpreter, which we've actually covered in these videos before. But look closely. He's piping it into MS encode. He's setting up the bad characters to ignore. The type, though, is executable. And the output is going to be Meterpreter.exe. Why do we care about that? Well, the reason why we care about that, let's jump back to Metasploit 3.1. If I plug in print working directory, you can see that I'm in Metasploit Framework 3.1. Now, what happens if I try running that command from Metasploit 3.1? Well, it's going to go through, it's going to take a while, but it's going to kick out this error, and it's going to say, invalid format, exe. Well, that's interesting. That means that MSF encode wasn't working so hot and actually generating executables. That may or may not actually be a problem. So, let's jump into new hotness. Let's go and let's take a look at Metasploit version 3.2 and see how things have changed. We're using the exact same command that HD used in his post, and let's see what actually happens whenever we try to create the malicious executable. As you can see, I'm running MSF payload, Windows Meterpreter, reverse TCP. The local host it's going to try to connect to is 192.168.1.1. Once again, please don't go hacking my systems. And the listening port is going to be 8080, and the output is going to be raw. This is a little bit different from what I've done in previous videos where the output has been X for executable. We're going to pipe that through MS encode. It's going to take that output and it's going to encode it. In particular, the default is the Shikata-Ganai encoder, which is Japanese for there's nothing that can be done about it. Send that through MS encode. We're establishing the bad characters to avoid, and this time we're trying to do type of executable output Meterpreter.exe. And let's see what happens whenever we do that. Now that may take a couple of seconds to run. Excellent. There it is. So what I want to do right now is I want to show you the difference between the old version and the new version in relation to virus engines, because that is the whole goal of this particular video. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to go through and we're going to browse our system and we're going to pull up Metasploit 3.1, an executable created from Metasploit 3.1, and then we're going to basically show you a comparison. I'm going to show you the evil.rv.exe executable. We're going to upload that file, and it should have a historical kind of back record for this particular one saying, yep, it's already been analyzed. So this is a reverse connector that we've generated with Metasploit with MSF payload that we used in 3.1. Let's see how it did. Well, if you look, the old version was detected at a 7 out of 36 antivirus engines, which isn't too shabby. But if you scroll down and you look and see exactly which type of antivirus engines were detecting it, in particular, Symantec and, if I can find it, McAfee did not detect this particular virus or little piece of executable code that we just created. So now let's see how Metasploit 3.2 does in AV or against all the antivirus engines. So instead of looking at Metasploit Framework 3.1, we're going to go through and we are going to look in the 3.2 directory, brand spanking new, and we're going to choose Meterpreter.exe, which was encoded with Shikata-Ganai. Now, let's see how this particular one fared. And it's going to take a little while for this particular executable to go through. It's currently scanning it, and it gives us some nice information about the MD5 hash, the SHA-1 hash. Now, I have uploaded this particular executable to all virus totals before, but I want you to know that it's rescanning it, thinking it's a brand new executable. That is because the MD5 hash sum changes. So now, as you can see already, it's not looking too terribly good for our antivirus engines. This time, in particular, please take note that AVG did not detect it. That's one of the harder ones to actually try to get past generating initial payloads. And the proof's in the pudding, ladies and gentlemen. 0 out of 37 antivirus engines detected this. So what does this mean for pen testers? Well, this means for pen testers it's time to update those skill sets. As usual, we've always got to stay on the bleeding edge, and we definitely need to be on the bleeding edge for this particular tool because it's changing very quickly. The other thing we need to keep in mind for our particular environments that we're trying to defend is that maybe trying to trust antivirus as an end-all be-all of security protections for your systems probably isn't the best way to go anymore. Well, I really appreciate your time today, and I hope you look forward to seeing some of the other videos. I certainly look forward to setting up some more. Once again, as usual, if you're listening to this video on YouTube, please look in the upper right-hand corner for additional notes about this video. There is a high definition of it on Vimeo. Thank you very much. I do appreciate your time this evening, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.